In this video, we're going to just give you a quick overview of where we're at with the Moke and also start to install the side shields just to get that ready for when the canopy gets installed. Alright, so basically where we're up to, the Moke is now registered, so I've got it on historic plates. So the way that works, you need to get a pink slip done at the mechanic, so it's just like a safety check, and then you also need to be a member of a car club. In my case, I'm a member of the Mini Car Club of New South Wales. You can, of course, have vehicles on historic plates in the Mini Car Club, which are variations of the Mini, and that includes the Moke. So that's all now sorted and has been driven on a few trips around the streets. At the moment, it's got 204 kilometres on the clock, so that's how far I've driven so far. Some of those trips have been a lot longer, just to test how the engine handles and how things go with that. There's a few things that I've fixed up in the meantime, just little minor things that you don't realise they're wrong until you're actually on the road. The first one was the pin that does the indicator cancel. It was out by 180 degrees. So I had to remove the steering column, rotate that 180 degrees, reinstall it again, and now that works fine. Okay, so in the engine, I'll just, no major issues, just minor things that needed to be sorted out. The first one was the window washer filler container. It was actually leaking from where the motor came out, so that had to come out and then just retighten the attachment that holds the motor. That fixed that. There was a few places where brake fluid was leaking just from around some of the unions, so they've just been tightened up, and now there's no more leaks in the brakes, so that's good. I did have an issue where there was a bit of oil residue in the radiator. That may have just been from when things haven't been cleaned too well, because I never cleaned the block because it had already been started to be installed, so the crankshaft had already been installed, so it's because everything's starting to get lubricated, I could not clean it up, so it could be some residue of that, so there's only a small amount. The other thing, I haven't set this system up correctly yet, so this cap should be one that actually releases. It's more of just a cap. The overfill bottle acts as the main point where you'd fill up your radiator, so that is something I still need to sort out, but it's working as it is. The level of the fluid in here is obviously right up to the top, and then in the expansion tank there's just a bit where it's overflowed. Apart from that, everything else is going okay. I've tightened up the fan belt. I actually removed the rocker cover and readjusted all the valve tappets, the clearance on those, and also have re-torqued down the head again just to make sure that's fine. So no mechanical issues as of yet. Okay, so let me explain some of the parts that I have here. First of all, I'll just start off with these Perspex panels. So the way that these panels work, they're not actually called Perspex, they call them something else. The name I'm just not too sure, I can't remember what it was, but they're a stronger material than just regular Perspex. I purchased these from Minis Plus, they're in Victoria. I'll put a link in the description because they were significantly cheaper than any of the other mini part suppliers. I think around 59 Australian dollars. There are two different types of side panels that go onto the Moke, and it depends on the year and which model. So this design has what is like a wraparound piece that goes over the windscreen, and you'll see that when it gets fitted. The other style, that's just where it's just a triangle piece of Perspex and it sits in a metal frame, and then that gets attached to the side of the windscreen here rather than wrapping around. So these are the correct ones for my particular model. What is missing is a strip of metal that sits on this edge here. which has these sort of little fasteners on to connect the canopy door cover. So I don't have that piece because it doesn't seem to be available. The workaround for that, I've got these aluminium strips. I purchased these from Bunnings, and I'll see how it goes, and like that will just affix to there, and then those little fittings will just be bolted onto there that way, and I'll see if that works. I'm sure it will do okay. The other piece that I'm missing, and I'll just take you in a bit closer, is that there should be another strip of metal that goes on here where the bottom edge of that sort of sits in between. The other part too are these little brackets, and I'll show you in a minute where they fit. Okay, so in order to get these panels fitted in, I will need to take off the mirror arm in order to fit it. So you'll notice that on the windscreen there are some attachments. These fittings will obviously sort of fit through these holes here. That one needs to be replaced because it's missing the actual bolt. That's still on order, I have to wait for that to come. Then the other holes, these all actually line up, and there should be another one of these roughly here for that bottom hole that's here. So I don't have that piece. The other part, when that sort of fits, this plastic panel sort of fits around there, there should be another strip that goes on the outside here. But the way I'm going to do that, I've just got a thicker piece of aluminium. I'm going to use that to sort of go over here to help the panel stay in place. Okay, the other piece I have is these little arms. That sort of bolts onto that part, the bolt that holds the tray in place. And then there's a hole on here, and then that will obviously sort of line up with the edge of the panel, and then it just gives it a bit more support. Okay, so the first thing I'll need to do is I'll need to remove this mirror. So just taking out these bolts. Okay, so before I take the plastic off, I'll just give it a test fit to sort of see how it goes. So that fits okay. There's no issues where it's scraping the edge or anything there. What I need to do is put a piece of weather stripping on here. Ideally it probably should go all the way just to seal it up, but I'm just going to put it on this lower section because that's all I have enough for, and then this all may come undone again when I sort out that and replace it with one of these sort. So first thing I'm going to do is just get the plastic protective coating off this. Okay, so we'll just do there we go. So I'll put that, I'll need to mark this spot here because that's going to have a self-tapping screw. Once that's marked, I'll drill it and then put the rubber strip on there. Alright, so I just need to work out what combination of washers, spring washers, will hold everything together, but I'll just put this bottom self-tapping screw in to get started. I'll just do it a bit. I can tighten that up in a moment, and then I'll sort of work out all of these. The exact angle in that isn't 100% perfect for it to fit flat there and then against here, but I think that's just the way they design it. they just haven't put a big enough bend in there. Alright, so what I'll do next is just put washers and some nuts on those. Okay, so the next step of the process will be to sort of work out how this is going to go. So on the other side, it sort of just goes like that. I've got a bend in here, and then it goes across a bit. And it sort of like lines up with the end of here rather than there. So I'll do the same thing on this side, and then we'll see how that goes. Alright, so the next step is to now put some holes in this piece of aluminium. So one will go here, another hole there, and one up there. But I'll mark it first and then do it the same as the other side. Interesting, like this piece on the inside has a hole here, but the other side it had a hole there and sort of one here. That it's just that isn't in the same position as the other side.